Hey guys, Dalen here once again, and I want to make more frequent uploads, and I have more thoughts to share. But don't worry, my societal rant is over, and I'm in the mood to talk about video games and anime and all the stuff I love. Now, I have major updates on video games and anime that I like now because I've played a lot more of those since I've uploaded, and that has been quite a while, and I am still so sorry about that. To all those who are actually watching my videos at all. Anyway, video game or anime, I'll just start with anime. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is awesome. I haven't watched much of Full Metal Alchemist the original. I heard it was better. I heard Brotherhood was better. I heard both were better. I don't know. I don't really care. But I love Brotherhood. I'm rewatching it. And did I tell you guys that I like Psycho Pass? I'll have to rewatch that one, but Psycho Pass is still my favorite anime. I've also gotten into Goblin Slayer, but honestly, it's more of a mind number than a mind expander, like Psycho Pass is. And it's good if you're just in the mood for some senseless violence. But to be honest, I'm only really into it because it feels like a video game, which I think I want now. I want a Goblin Slayer video game. Because that's honestly what it feels like. A lot of that and the Samurai Champloo, now that I think about it, also feel like they feel like what I think these people are is that they wanted to be video game designers. You know, they just wanted to make your average video game, but they couldn't make it in that market, so they got into making anime, but they couldn't get the video game mentality out of their head before they started writing the manga, so they just decided, fuck it, why not? Why not just make it seem like a video game? And that's fine if they want to do that. It's just kind of boring. I watch anime so I can think better. I like Psycho Pass. And Psycho Pass is still unrivaled in my opinion. The acting is the best, the music is the best, all the characters are fleshed out. No, I have not watched Psycho Pass 2 except for the first episode, but I just knew it wasn't going to be nearly as good because the music isn't nearly as good, and nothing really is when it comes to the sequel of that show. But my favorite character was the villain, obviously. Honestly, it did what Death Note... Everyone says a lot of... Oh, I'm going to piss off a lot of fans here. It says a lot of things that people say Death Note did, Psycho Pass did way better, in my opinion. Way, way better. And I think that's because the villain is a lot more compelling than Light in Death Note. Because, to be honest, what I thought I was going to get in Death Note was some gradual descent into insanity. But instead, Light just went insane in the first episode. And like, wait, what? Where'd all that go? You know, it's been 5 days. Like, it's been 5 days and all of a sudden he's evil. Woo! I'm like, oh, God, here we go. I liked Elle in that one, though. Elle was awesome. But anyway, what I liked about the villain was he was the opposite of Light in terms of personality. He was very charismatic. And it's no wonder he had a lot of followers in that show. And even to the people he didn't like, he still tried to teach them a lesson. But he's an obvious bad guy because he kills people because they failed or because they outlived their usefulness. But he's a compelling bad guy because he believes in free will and all that. But he's still a bad guy. And that's why I like him. That's what a lot of Japanese writing has done, which, now to the topic of video games, Metal Gear Solid 2 is now my favorite game to watch on YouTube. Because I can't play stealth games because I'm blind, because Assassin's Creed I can play because... Oh, and speaking of Assassin's Creed, I've played Origins. I haven't played Odyssey, but 3 is still my favorite because of the combat. I love the combat. It's just the best. Anyway, the story is really awesome. 3 is honestly where the story it was bad after 3. After that, it was just random Templar versus Assassin conflicts in both the past and the present, and it was really boring. So I just skipped the gameplay because the story is boring after 3. Anyway, but 3 is still my favorite in terms of combat. My favorite story-driven Assassin's Creed game was still the first one with Altair. I don't know how to explain it, but it perfectly represents the differences and the flaws with both the Assassins and the Templars in both the past and the present, and I love it. And the combat, unlike Unity, feels just as clunky as it should depending on the weapon you're wielding. Like the sword is supposed to feel clunky, so it is. But it's not like Assassin's Creed Unity where it's like, huh, huh, and Assassin's Creed 1 is more... It feels like I'm actually sword fighting expertly. Well, because he is an experienced sword fighter, but whatever. Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite game to watch on YouTube because of how relevant it is now to at least the now era. Kind of sad that it took this long, but it makes sense. Some games are meant for certain times, and when it comes to story, and well, in 2001, it just wasn't like that. But Assassin's Creed is good for its story and gameplay, but to be honest, I play games for the gameplay, and I watch cutscenes on YouTube for the story. And that brings me to my next point. My favorite game, I think my favorite action RPG is now Dragon's Dogma. I recently got into that, and it is really fun. It is awesome. I love it a lot. It has everything I love. It has a nice, free-flowing hack-and-slash system. I like the fighter. I always choose the warrior. The mages are good as sidekicks, and they're really overpowered, and I love that. They shoot fire, ice, lightning, and they can heal you, and among other things, I'm sure. I like to be the fighter because I like chopping enemies to bits mercilessly while my mage burns them. And we loot them. Looting! I love grinding. I love grindy games. A lot of people don't, and I can understand why. A lot of people want the story. I like gameplay. I love grinding. And Dragon's Dogma has that more than anything. And before you ask me about Destiny is not much of an open plain, unfortunately. It's a lot of places to get stuck, and Dragon's Dogma is the exact opposite because you're always in the wilderness and there's always something to come after you, especially at night. Here's what I do. At daytime, it's time to gather food, it's time to gather supplies and potions and all that. At night, it is time to kill. And hopefully your pawn has his pockets full of potions because, man oh man, he is going to need them. It's just one time we were just being ganked by all these packs of goblins and wolves that my pawn used all of his curatives, every single one of them, in one night, and we were still getting crushed. It is so much fun though. I had to find him and help him up though, because I almost didn't because I had to find out where he was. It was almost the saddest day of my life leaving that guy behind. He was healing me all the time, but I got him back. Anyway, well, the one I'm looking forward to is Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, the only Kingdom Hearts game I was able to play was the one on the Game Boy Advanced. I played 2 very briefly, but Chain of Memory was the one I played most, and it was lots of fun. And so I can't wait for 3 to come out, and that's a wide open plain game from what I've heard. A lot of free roaming, a lot of hacking and slashing like the Game Boy one, and it was a lot of fun, and the story is hilarious. So, I don't know much about the story, to be honest. I know that Goofy and Donald are in there for some reason. I heard it takes place in various Pixar/Disney worlds, so that's kind of odd. Wait, why is Final Fantasy in there again? Is it maybe by the same company? I heard it was. But, speaking of that, Final Fantasy 15 is another good one. And I enjoy it for its visceral combat. While Dragon's Dogma feels kind of lightweight when it comes to its combat, it doesn't feel very visceral. Final Fantasy 15 really delivers the viscera of the combat. And depending on what weapon you're using, you will feel various levels of satisfaction. I use the halberds because it delivers the most punch, and I can feel that and hear that. The sound is just it has the really ka-ching slicing sound when you hit him with the halberd. It's like a really long slicing sound. The controller shakes the longest, and it provides this like you're just beating the crap out of this guy with that halberd. And also there's that bone cracking sound when you use it sometimes. Man, is that awesome. But it's what I don't like about it is it has your stamina is used by everything. It's like Skyrim, even your attacks, every single attack that you perform is based on stamina. And I hate games that do that. I play games to escape that kind of real life aspect. I hate games that do this, but I can't help but like this one in particular because it is a lot of fun to play with. It's so much fun. But Dragon's Dogma, it has a stamina meter, but that's because you have to climb and stuff, and you have a meter that you can use special attacks. That makes sense. I get that. But stamina just for regular attacks? Just really? Come on, guys. Why? But it's a lot. But Final Fantasy 15 is probably the exception. Oh, and also, I am looking forward to the remastering of Tales of Vesperia. I haven't gotten to play that one, and I want to ask a favor, if you could, or if you remember. I only play games where you are allowed to save anywhere you want, again, like Dragon's Dogma and Final Fantasy 15. Because being blind, unless there is an easy way to travel to back to the save point and save whenever you want, I have to see where to find the save point again, and if I can't do that, I've just lost a lot of progress. So if someone can tell me before I check this game out, whether I'm going to have to really know where to look for the save point on Tales of Vesperia, please tell me, because that game also sounds really, really fun, because I've seen a lot of gameplay on YouTube, and it sounds freaking amazing. Just like a Japanese RPG should be. And honestly, with that... Oh, and one more question about Dragon's Dogma. I couldn't find any zombies or monsters, even though I saw a lot of that in gameplay. Are all those things only in certain places? Because all I could really find were wolves and goblins. Or does the game keep track of levels and only send out the really, really dangerous enemies when you are at a certain level? And with that, I'm going to sign off. And all my thoughts are on the internet as we speak. Goodbye.